casket, the body of Jackie Wright and her infant son. Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church was filled to overflowing with mourners, 1,500 in all. Outside, others listened to the Mass on loudspeakers.
And those that we mourn this morning, they are in the embrace of a loving and merciful God.
In a mortuary a few miles away, the body of gunman James Huberty awaited cremation. 9 of his victims are still hospitalized, including 4-month-old Carlita Amria Felix. She is in serious but stable condition. There will be 2 more funerals here Monday, a sad procession of 2 more caskets. The families of the victims begin a long, slow healing of what is still to most people an incomprehensible event. This is Lois Allen reporting.
A general amnesty for political prisoners in Poland has been greeted with measured optimism by officials in Western countries, Poland's Roman Catholic Church and the Solidarity leader Lech Wałęsa. The amnesty marks the 40th anniversary of communist rule in Poland.
The amnesty was passed by the Polish Parliament just before this ceremonial session, attended by the Soviet Prime Minister Nikolai Tikhonov. The ceremonies and the amnesty were to celebrate 40 years of communist rule in Poland. The amnesty is the second since martial law was lifted a year ago and leads the way for a possible relaxation of US-led sanctions imposed in retaliation for the suppression of Solidarity. Just over 650 political prisoners will go free, 11 of them senior Solidarity officials and advisors. However, anyone who commits a similar offence before the end of 1986 will go back to prison to serve the rest of their original sentence. President Jaruzelski called it an act of clemency, expressing humanity and the power of communist Poland. A spokesman for the Catholic Church said Archbishop Glimp welcomed it with satisfaction, but it also sent Parliament a confidential letter outlining undisclosed reservations. Solidarity leader Lech Wałęsa said it could be a great step forward, but warned that if political curbs were placed on those released, the prisons could soon be full of people again. This is Don Lang reporting.
After a journey of 75 days across America, the Olympic flame has arrived in Los Angeles. The flame will be carried around California before returning for the opening of the Games next Saturday. Meanwhile, world records have been falling at what's been billed as the alternative games at Potsdam in East Germany.
East Germany holds what it calls an Olympic Day every year. In fact, it covers 2 days, the first in East Berlin and the second in the neighbouring town of Potsdam. It's been going on for 22 years, and the declared motive is to promote the Olympic spirit in a country where athletic competition has a very high priority. The event draws fiercely enthusiastic support from the public. And this year, the Olympic Days, timed to avoid a clash with the World Olympics, which could be a contravention of the Olympic Charter, have given the Soviet Union and its neighbouring communist countries an opportunity for an alternative to going to Los Angeles. French, Belgian and West German athletes have crossed the border between East and West to compete. And the British javelin thrower Tessa Sanderson, who will be competing in Los Angeles, appeared at the Potsdam Stadium today. Her own javelins went astray at the airport, and she had to borrow some. And she found her formidable performance equalled and sometimes bettered by East Germans who will not be in Los Angeles.
Australia's newest frigate, HMAS Darwin, was commissioned today in a ceremony at its American construction site.
HMAS Darwin is the 4th guided missile frigate built for the Australian Navy in Seattle. It follows the Adelaide, the Canberra and the Sydney. Its defence role will be to detect long-range threats from enemy planes, ships and submarines and to knock them out. The Darwin is equipped with radar, sonar and electronic sensors, all linked to a computer system. Weapons include surface-to-air and surface-to-surface missiles and torpedoes. The 138-metre ship cost about $350 million. Today's commissioning ceremony in Seattle, in which the Darwin officially became part of the Navy, was attended by the Mayor of Darwin, Mr. Alec Fong Lim, the Administrator of the Northern Territory, Commodore Eric Johnston, and Australia's Ambassador in the United States, Sir Robert Cotton. The 183 officers and crew will put the Darwin through trials along the American west coast before bringing the ship to Australia in mid-1985.
Well, finally now, the weather details. And there's a strong wind warning for New South Wales coastal waters south of Smoky Cape and a sheep graziers alert for the ranges and slopes and part of the plains. The mass of cloud over eastern New South Wales will continue to produce rain overnight, but will slowly contract to the southeast quarter by late tomorrow. There'll be morning fogs or low cloud patches mainly in the east, a cool to cold day becoming sunny in places, snowfalls on the snowies, slight to moderate seas, and a low to moderate swell. The forecast for Canberra, rain, clearing to a few showers. Expected maximum temperature 9 degrees. And the forecast for Sydney, rain clearing in the morning, then isolated showers, sunny breaks and a cool day, moderate to fresh northerly winds, gusty at times and tending westerly, slight to moderate seas, a low swell rising. The temperature ranges, City 10 to 15, Liverpool 9 to 15, and Richmond 7 to 15. And that's all the news for now. More, of course, tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. From ABC News, a very good night.
How long since you've seen him?
I have never met him.
On ABC, the premiere of a new three-part series, The Young Wife, a tender story of a young Greek girl's search for love and happiness in a new country, and with the man she is to marry.
This is my life, Anna. You marry me, you must accept this.
He doesn't want her.
Elena, listen, he's got 60 years to sit around talking to the girl.
He doesn't want her, and he's too much of a coward to say so.
Come, you want your wife to look like a whore?
Johnny, I'm sorry. I wanted her to look nice.
And I want it to look nice too. Change it.
The neckline?
The neck, the shoulders. This is Australia, not Cyprus. This is the 20th century. Change it.
The Young Wife premieres 8:55 Tuesday on ABC.
From around the world, the high technology that will shape our future. Towards 2000, 7:30 Wednesday on ABC, your national network.
Now, when you have such a rare collection of animals as we have here, it's very important that you not only study them minutely, but it's also very important that you study their wants and desires minutely too, as though they were permanently under a huge magnifying glass. It may seem an odd way to start a program about a zoo in a laboratory like this, but in fact good zoos are laboratories. And particularly a zoo like this, where you're dealing with rare and endangered species, you've simply got to know everything you can about them in order to save them. Now take this as an example. Now here you have what could be potentially 400 or 500 gorillas. It is a tiny speck of gorilla sperm. Now, when you're dealing with valuable animals, the one thing you don't want to do is to knock them out, because it's always a risky process. But when, as in this case, we had to move Yambo from one cage to his new quarters, we seized the opportunity to do all things that we'd been longing to do for years to him, weighing him, measuring him,